You're listening to Questboard, a podcast where we make up random side quests. My name is Brandon.
And I'm Tiffany. Just so you know, we are not professional writers in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, at least we don't claim to be. We just really like tabletop RPGs, and we do this for fun.
That's right. How are you, Tiffany?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
That's good. You know, I've been trying to talk to your husband and getting into Warhammer 40k.
Oh, no.
And just a small, like, hey, I'm stupid moment. One, it's an expensive hobby.
Yes.
We're starting off small. I bought my army and all that stuff, and I started putting together. It's quite fun putting them together. But I was like, I told you before, as I was putting them together, I was like, one of the minis had like a cape, and I was looking, I'm like, this will be so much easier to paint if this wasn't super glued on.
Yeah.
So then I decided, okay, I'm going to put like limbs together and all that stuff, but then paint them separately and then put the final bits together.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be easier to paint. And so I bought, I've done some mini painting before, and I painted on like the primer. You should always prime your minis.
Of course.
But I've been having trouble when I casually did it before, that just painting on primer, you don't get like even strokes, and just like sometimes it's watered down in this area. It's not as even coat.
Gotcha.
And so I was like, okay, for these that are expensive models, I'm like, I'm going to actually buy a spray can of primer.
Ooh.
Because it's supposed to actually coat things better and all that stuff,
yes,
right?
yeah.
So I bought one a week ago.
Mhm.
And just this morning, I was like, okay, I need to test this out. And I grabbed one of like my old models that I don't care about to make sure the primer is like sits right and like it actually works.
Gotcha.
So then I go into my backyard. I'm like trying to spray it, and the spray can will not spray. Like I'm just pushing down. I'm like, it shouldn't be this hard. I'm smart enough to know how a spray can works.
Push button, paint, spray.
Yeah. And so then I was like, and I could show you after the episode, the spray can has just a wall of small text of like, hey, this is flammable, this is explosive, don't store in a hot room, kind of, those things.
The
but
usual.
Then like a chunk of it is like in other languages as well.
Yes.
But it's just completely full of text, like a huge block of text. And so I'm just standing there, I'm like, and then my mom calls me, and then I'm trying to chat with her while reading this can. And then finally I see on the like thing, after about like 10 minutes of trying to spray,
yeah.
I see on it's like, oh, you're supposed to pop the cap open because there's a safety ring underneath the like nozzle thing. So you pop off the nozzle thing, turn it upside down, a ring should fall out, and then you put the cap on, and then you push down.
I've never seen one with that before.
Yeah, so I was like, because normally you think of like the top of the can to like have a cap,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't press down.
Right.
This one doesn't have that.
Okay, that would explain things.
And so the ring underneath it was something that falls out if you took the cap off and just turn it over. But it took me a solid 15 minutes to figure that out. I'm just like, I'm dumb.
That's why reading instructions is sometimes important.
Well, okay, so the part of the instructions why it was hard for me to find it as well was because it was like in the middle of a section of basically saying, hey, don't puncture this. Hey, this stuff is flammable. Hey, be in ventilated area.
It was within the wall of text.
It's within the like wall of text of like, oh, I'm not an idiot. I know it is, so I skim.
Right.
But then when I skim, I skip over that actual part.
You know what? One thing I never actually knew about spray paint for like the longest time, and then when I found out, I was like, that makes sense for that to exist. You can get different nozzles that spray in different shapes.
I knew about that because I had one time I had a binge of watching YouTube videos about graffiti artists.
Yeah.
It was really interesting.
I know. It was like some of those artists are truly artists and need to be paid to paint murals and stuff because it's beautiful.
Well, they do actually get paid, and that's the people that post on YouTube. They actually do it legally, like they get commissioned.
Oh, good.
Or else they're just recording themselves committing a crime. But no, these are actual murals that are commissioned.
Good, because they deserve to get paid for that beautiful art.
It's a legit art form.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful.
And I can never do it.
I'm not that great with a spray can. I get impatient, and the last thing I spray painted is a drippy mess. But I still hung it up anyway.
I think I would be like oh, it needs more of this, but then it will cause overspraying.
Yeah.
I think, and
Mhm.
that's what leads to drippy messes. Is
Yeah.
because you're like, no, it's not enough to like fill this in, and then it's just too much, and then
Yeah.
it starts going down.
There are some artists who make use of the dripping though, and that creates a cool effect too.
Yes, but they're professionals and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just like a completely side
Side tangent for the
no,
side tangent.
it's not a side tangent. It's a completely different analogy in a totally different ballpark.
Oh, here we go.
I golf with my dad, and so it's just like if you know golfing, what you want to do is hit straight and hit where you want.
Mhm.
But of course, I hit to the right and it curves right when I don't want it to. Professionals could make it curve right when they want to,
Mm-hmm.
but they know what they're doing.
Right.
I need to hit straight and consistent before I could do things like purposely curve to the right.
And
or
quite
to the
honestly,
left.
you're more of a professional than me because it's a miracle if I even hit the ball.
You want to learn how to golf?
I know how to golf.
You
I just
wanna
don't
get
like.
better?
I
I don't have
sports.
anyone to golf like that's my age. Everyone I golf with is
Once
my
again,
dad's age and my dad's friends.
It's a miracle if I hit the ball.
Yeah, you want to get better?
No.
You know what? Fair enough. Golf is an expensive hobby.
Yeah, I don't need expensive hobbies. I have too many other smaller hobbies that
Actually,
altogether add up to be expensive.
This is full circle because it started with me talking about Warhammer 40k, which is an expensive hobby.
Yeah, there we go. From expensive hobby to expensive. Why do you have only expensive hobbies?
Well,
and you also collect records, which can get expensive.
Yeah, they do. Well, the golf thing was because my dad golfs, and it's like, hey, I have something to do with my dad. Besides that, I had nothing else in common with him.
My dad golfs.
Hey, you want to call your dad, and I'll just go golfing with him.
Do you want to set up a play date for our dads?
That'll be weird because we're not in a relationship or anything. Like, if you and I were dating, that would make sense. But
Hey, dads need friends too.
my dad's more antisocial than I am.
My dad's pretty social.
I think my dad will find your dad annoying.
That's fair.
Anyways. So we are doing a character jam episode.
You know, as
But we're doing a
evidenced by the title.
twist.
Yay, twist.
With the twist.
What a twist.
I came up with this idea. We've talked about before. We want to do a one shot where it's just like we roll for our characters. Everything is random.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, why don't we do that for our character jam where basically we roll a race and background and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take that and we just try to make a backstory for a character that would start.
Yep.
Would this be a level 1 or just
I'd say
with a predetermined archetype for like the later stuff?
Yeah, you build the character knowing you're going to take this archetype.
Yeah, we're going to
and
try to do that.
Technically starting at level 1 probably.
Okay. So technically this is a character jam because we're making a character.
Yes.
If you have an idea of like something else to call this, let us know in the comments or on Twitter or X, whatever. Yeah. But for now, we'll call it character jam unless we could come up with a better name for it.
I mean, it's technically still building a character from scratch. So that's a character jam if I ever saw one.
And we're going to say this on recording now. I always thought character jam was called jam because we did multiple characters, like game jam or, like those kind of things that implies that it's multiples in one.
See, I always saw it as doing like art jams with my friends where we just all get together and draw based off the same prompts.
But then it's en masse, multiple.
Jam session where you're getting together, you're doing a thing at random from scratch. Jam session. That's just how I saw it.
We need to look up the actual definition later. But for now, that's what we're calling this. So we are going to basically do Player's Handbook Original D&D 5th Edition.
Yes, only. That's all the information we have right now.
We want to keep it simple for our first attempt.
Yes.
We might not even like this afterwards, and we'll just stop doing this.
Or we'll expand on it, include every other published book there is, and I get to do a ton of typing because we put this all into an Excel sheet.
Yes. So we will find out. But let us find out, basically, how are we going to do this?
You're going to...
Race first?
Yeah, we'll start with race, and then figure out all the basics there, and then we'll go to... Should we do class first or background first after that?
I guess background. Let's one thing at a time.
Okay, race first. Roll at D10, please.
I got a 7.
We have a half orc, which has no Sorry, I read that wrong. A halfling, which does have sub races.
Okay.
So there's only 2 to choose from in the base player's handbook. So roll a d4. And what is it?
D4.
1 and 2 is 1.
Yeah.
3 and 4 is 2.
I got 4, so.
We have a stout halfling.
Do you want me to read the description for halflings?
Yes, please.
The comforts of home are the goals of most halflings' lives. A place to settle in peace and quiet, far from the marauding monsters and chasing armies. Or classing armies. Others from nomadic bands that travel constantly, lured by the open road and the wide horizon to discover the wonders of new lands and peoples. Halflings work readily with others and are loyal to their friends, whether halflings or otherwise. They can display remarkable ferocity when their friends, families, or communities are threatened, or they have to travel, take a ring to a mountain. So Stout says, as a stout halfling, you are hardier than the average and have some resilience to poison. Some say that stouts have dwarven blood. In the Forgotten Realms, these halflings are called Stronghearts, and they're most common in the south. I guess we'll talk about the stats of a halfling right now. Their age is reach about adulthood around 20, and they live lives into the middle of his or her second century. So about 250 years old.
Yeah.
Max? Wow, that's old.
Compared to humans, yes.
Well, I'm a human.
I know.
Alignment, I don't do alignments.
They tend towards lawful good.
Size, they're about, average is about 3 feet tall. Weight about 40 pounds. They're size small.
Which is really fun in a lot of situations, actually. I'm playing a halfling in another campaign.
Because technically, as a small creature, you could share or space with a medium-sized creature going through their legs kind of thing.
Yeah, or sit on their shoulders.
Speed, your base speed is 25 feet.
Normally, more medium characters are 30.
The best skill ever, Lucky.
I love it so much.
So many DMs hate this.
Yeah.
When you roll 1 on attack, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die. You must use the new result, even if it's a 1 again.
What are the odds?
Ask your husband that. Brave, you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Nimble, you can move through spaces any creature that is a size larger than yours. And they could speak common and halfling. As a stout, you have advantage against saving throws against poison, and you have resistance to poison damage. That is pretty good.
Not bad.
So that is a halfling.
That is.
Are we doing background or are we doing class?
I've got background listed on here first, so let's throw background in there first.
Okay.
What is the background? And we have 13 to choose from. So he is going to roll a D12 along with a D2. Or sorry, D4.
We have it thought out, but I rolled a 4 instead.
He rolled a 4. Okay. Entertainer.
Well, yeah, they're jolly, right?
Yeah, they're jolly. They can be entertaining.
There are things I wanted to also do the whole rolling thing in the for the backgrounds.
Right.
That was one of my ideas for this. But you thrive in front of an audience. You know how to entrance them, entertain them, and even inspire them. Your poets can stir the hearts of those who hear you, awakening grief or joy, laughter or anger. Your music rises their spirits and captures their sorrow. Your dance steps captive. Your humor cuts to the quick. Whatever techniques you use, your art is your life.
Mm-hmm. And it's captivate, not captive.
Captivate.
You hold their attention captive.
It still works.
It still works.
Okay.
Anyway, so we can either have a gladiator or actually roll from a
I think we should roll.
D10 list. So please roll a D10. I need to start writing this down.
I got another 7. He is a poet.
Poet. Didn't even know it.
We have a stout halfling entertainer who is a poet.
All right.
Oh my god. If you want to play this character and you're really good about like creating haikus, because I really suck at them. You could be a poet that just loves to just in the moment talk about haikus or make haikus based off what's happening.
You could come up with a haiku for every I'm thinking bard here because entertainer is a good background for bards. Can you imagine a bard that just like haikus and that's their spell?
Oh god, that is so hard to do though on the spot. If you're
It
good,
is.
I can't even make haikus myself.
It takes me a while.
Yeah, I'm very
All
bad
right.
at it. Some
All
people
right.
are really good about actually doing it.
Yeah, I know. Some people are amazing at it and should be applauded. Let's roll for class.
Do we want to do suggested characteristics, or is that something we're gonna come up with? Because that includes personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws.
Yeah, you want to roll for it?
You
We
want to
did
do?
say we're going to do everything random.
Okay, if you're ready to jot those down.
Good to go. Please roll a d8.
I got a 3. So I
Um,
am a hopeless romantic, always searching for that special someone
Oof.
and write poetry for them.
Oh, they're probably writing so many sappy love poems for their future someone.
Again, if it's a haiku, then
Yeah. Ideals. D6.
you got 5 people. I like seeing the smiles of people's faces when I perform. All that matters.
Okay. That's the neutral ideal. So that's still kind of befitting of a halfling. Bond.
Another d6. Another 5. I will do anything to prove myself superior to my hated rival.
Oh, we got
Who
a
hates
rival.
haikus?
Oh, yeah. Another poet who believes that haikus are a lesser form of poetry.
Because it doesn't rhyme.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, man. Their rival is Dr. Seuss.
Oh my god, yes. His rival is Dr. Seuss. And his flaw, I will do anything to win fame and renown. That fits.
Oh, gosh. I like this character. Okay. Now that we have all of that, what is our class?
And that's a d12. I got a 4. He's a druid.
Druid. This does not fit at all. So, a performing druid.
A poet performing druid.
What circle of druid are we going to go with?
Oh, that's right. We were going to also do that. I got a 3, so that'll make it a 2. Moon druid.
We got a moon druid, huh?
Moon druids are the shape-shifting ones, right?
Yeah. I mean, all druids can inherently shapeshift.
Yeah, but they emphasize on it.
Yes, they can do it more.
Okay.
All right.
So we will have to make a character based off that.
Okay, so here's the first question.
I think we already got like the personality down about like the background.
I mean, the whole background personality thing really helps to flesh out the character. Man or woman? Or do you want to roll for that?
You know what? Let's roll for that.
Okay.
I got a 2, so man.
Okay.
Because you said man or woman, and so I just did that.
I had a feeling you were going to use that. So we have a male halfling who is stout, a entertainer of the poet variety, following the circle of the moon as a druid. Their personality: they are hopeless romantic. I'm only going to read the beginning of them. They like seeing smiles on people's faces. They'll do anything to prove themselves and anything to win fame and renown. But that's a flaw. So their flaw is they will do anything.
Well, yeah, it's the constant competition.
Yeah.
Maybe they think that, or he, now that we have no gender, maybe he thinks that in order to actually be worthy of the fated one, he has to be better, the best poet.
Right.
So until he actually knows that he's better than Dr. Seuss, who actually went to college, who's a bard.
Yeah.
That's how he has his doctorate.
In bardology.
In
poetry.
the College of Valor or whatever.
No, it'd probably be, is there a College of Words?
No,
Not in the base stuff, but I know there's
a College of Glamour or something like that. But anyways, I think it's a sort of perfectionist where it's like, I need to do everything I can to win and be number one.
Yes.
And then when I'm number one, that's when I'm worthy of that special someone.
Maybe, okay,
because they're so special.
Yeah.
I have to be perfect for them.
Right. And the reason that he's a druid instead of a bard is because he was raised as a druid. He was born into a family of druids, and that's how he was raised. But really, his calling is poetry.
What happens if, grew up on a druid commune kind of thing, but maybe blew up as a poet when was writing haikus about nature?
Yeah.
And that's how it's all started and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then convince his parents to be more worldly and experience the outside world to enhance his poetry.
Yeah. And maybe even down the road would probably take one class into Bard or flat up switch. And instead of continuing on the line of Druid, switch to being a Bard at some point. Maybe not completely switch, because we did roll Druid. We need to stick with that. So maybe just take one, dip a toe into Bard.
I could see that being a actual plot point within the campaign. I think we're just gonna try to come up with a backstory and like general personality.
Okay.
But I think that would be a cool plot point in the campaign where because you get the Druid powers come from nature itself and like understanding and being one with nature.
Right.
What if like the obsession with poetry and society and all that stuff, it's the whole Spider-Man having less confidence in himself, Tobey Maguire losing his powers kind of thing.
Okay.
Where he loses the powers of Druid to switch over to a Bard because he becomes more obsessed. Like that's the more important thing in his life instead of admiring nature like his earlier poetry works were.
Yeah.
So he's like losing his origin or something like that. That could be a cool plot point, but that's like in the campaign.
Right. And then there could be even a moment of reckoning where he learns to integrate both his druidic background and his dream of becoming the best poet into one and becomes this beautiful druid bard combo.
I would totally be willing to, in a campaign, say, hey, if I lost my powers for a time being, can I just rewrite my stat sheet for a fighter or something like that? And it's so that I would just run that for a while as then a plot point of me regaining my powers again. I think that'd be cool.
That would be interesting. You'd really have to work it out with your DM beforehand, though, definitely.
Yeah, but I think that would be a cool way of telling a story because everyone just like, oh, yeah, you have this, but you don't lose your powers. You don't lose levels.
Right.
I'm willing to sacrifice that just for the sake of like telling a story. I think that'd be fun.
I think that would be fun.
But anyways, that is something that it's only up to whoever plays this character.
Right, and they definitely need to work it out with their DM beforehand. Like, hey, at some point, my character is going to have
who's going to obsess over
crisis of conscience or something like that. Do we want to name him?
I was half tempted to look up famous haiku poets to name him
because his foe is Dr. Seuss.
Yes.
Well, I found a cool last name on here, good for a druid, which is Reed. What would be a good first name to go with the last name Reed?
Okay, I googled famous haiku authors.
Go for it.
There's an Ezra.
Ooh.
Ezra Pound, 1885 to 1972.
Do you want to keep the last
name in honor
name
of him?
Reed, so name him Ezra Reed? Or do you want to go with a different last name?
I don't know. Do we want to just straight up use a dead poet's name?
What do you want to start, the Dead Poet Society?
I don't know if you're referencing the movie with Robin Williams or you referencing the Taylor Swift song.
I'm referencing the movie with Robin Williams.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a Taylor Swift song. Once again, you demonstrate your knowledge of Taylor Swift.
I'm a Swiftie.
Oh, man.
There's also Yosha Busson. Buson. Don't.
That's Buson.
Buson?
That's probably French.
No, he's a Japanese poet.
Okay, it's still Buson.
You're saying it French-like. I don't think they said it French-like.
Buson.
Is that Japanese?
Yes.
I don't know how they would say Buson.
A, I, U, E, O are the Japanese vowel sounds. Buson.
Okay.
It sounds French.
It really sounds French to me. I'm like, it
does. I completely understand how it sounds French, but I'm saying it to my best knowledge with a Japanese accent.
Matsuo Basho.
Matsuo Basho.
Basho. I'm gonna stop. You know what? I found okay.
I like Ezra. I like the name Ezra. I think it's a cool name.
Okay. Someone that I can actually say. Peggy Willis Lyles. He's from South Carolina.
Stick to American names. Okay.
Okay, Ezra Reed.
I like Ezra Reed.
Okay. Gotta stop butchering famous authors' names in
That's
their
what you
memory.
got me for. Yes, yeah.
To be fair, no one really talks about famous haiku artists.
They need to be talked about more because haikus are beautiful.
You know what? This is the shout out on a very small podcast.
Yeah. You go, famous haiku artist.
Ezra.
And you know, like anyone today working on haikus and stuff and trying to make a name for themselves with it, you go to. Good job. Haikus are hard.
It's also really hard to make a living off of that.
Yeah, that would be much harder than hosting a podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, yeah, guaranteed. Even though we're not really making money off of this.
Yet.
Sure. Anyways.
That's a call out to let your friends know about us.
Or any brands that
Anything,
somehow
yeah.
listen to this.
Or, you know, if you have an idea for a cool collaboration, let us know. Because we're looking for people or businesses to collaborate with.
We're looking for friends.
Friends.
Just say that.
Yeah.
We're looking for friends. Anyways, do we have anything to add?
No, I think we kind of fleshed him out good. Like, we've got his reason for who he is, how he is. We've got his reason for why he is the way he is, what his motivation is, and we even came up with a rival.
Okay, hang on. How did he meet his rival, Dr. Seuss?
They were probably at some sort of, like, poetry night thing, and... Exactly. And I don't know, maybe Dr. Seuss was after him and just started laying out rhymes to bash on the haikus.
What if they were doing like a small competition?
Yeah.
Let's say it's one of those like nobles kind of sponsored events. You know how they do for like sponsoring artists, like painters and all that stuff. What happens if like they have one of those but for poetry?
Okay.
In which maybe this is like the first one that Ezra ever participates after finally leaving the commune.
Yeah.
And lost to Seuss.
There you go.
So then he has the inferiority complex, which triggers the flaw.
Yeah.
And which then always portrays just hatred for the one person who beat him. And maybe like in the quote unquote acceptance speech of winning, just bashed on like a loser who makes a haiku or doesn't even rhyme or, you know, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he could have a severe hatred for poetry that rhymes.
Just anytime you accidentally rhymes, like, stop it.
He's like, say something else.
Oh, sorry. I physically pointed. I should have done this. Stop it.
Yes.
Point upwards.
Yeah. So, okay. Just to clarify for those of you who can't see.
This does not work with podcasts.
He pointed directly at me and said, stop it. And the second time he was gesturing up because halflings are short. Unless Dr. Seuss is also a halfling.
You know what? Where's that table? D10.
Here we go again.
Dr. Seuss is a dwarf.
Okay, so not that far up.
We're not going to do sub-race. It's just general race.
Ooh, yeah, because apparently it does say that stout halflings are often considered to be part dwarf.
Oh, so he's going to call him like the like lame cousin of a real man dwarf.
Yeah. It's like dwarf knockoff. He could totally use that in his
he does
poetry
dwarf
slam.
rhyming poems, like the stone rhyming poems.
Yeah, he probably does make a lot of rock rhymes.
I also thought his ideals of like always wanting that special someone. What happens if his parents had like one of those romantic like storybook kind of like that's how they met?
Okay.
And so then that filled his ideals about like how he'll find his special someone in like one of those similar situations.
Mm-hmm.
If you have one of those storybook moments of like how you met your like loved one, your soulmate or whatever, don't tell your kids that because that might actually ruin their perception of like how you're supposed to meet people.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
but don't exactly lie to your kids.
You can tell them about it, but then say, but that's how we met. You might meet your special someone in a completely different way.
But if you tell that to a fourth grader, that's not going to really resonate.
That's true. I mean,
they're just going to hook on the fancy part.
I always loved the way my parents met because my parents met by my mom was a waitress and dad would leave really big tips. So she thought he was rich, but really he just thought she was cute. I think that's a cute high school storybook.
Your mom's a gold digger?
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know. No, she's not. Well, I mean, okay, well, here's...
He kind of sounds like...
No. I don't think she thought he was rich, but she was definitely...
It was a different time back then.
But what's really funny is my papa always tells the story about when he first met my Nana. he introduced himself and said, "Hi, I'm Rich," because his name is Richard.
Mm.
So, but he likes telling jokes, so I
You're
don't know how
coming
that...
from a line of gold.
Maybe.
Now it's gonna be awkward during Thanksgiving. You just gotta think about that. You're gonna remember this, and you're like,
Anyway.
Okay. Do we have like we
I
have
think
pretty much a basis of a character that could start.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well-rounded.
Okay, real quick.
What's up?
How does like the Circle of the Moon Druid partake? It could be because of the parents and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I feel like they're in a compound of Circle of Moon Druids.
And
like,
so that's the only reason.
The circle they live within. Like, that's just how he was raised.
Maybe, okay, instead of like making haikus of just like purely nature, haikus about perspective of animals.
Yeah.
And so they're more in tune to being like the perspective of animals. So that's how emphasis on shape shifting, wild shape.
That would make sense. Yeah, they're definitely focus more on animals.
And the perspective of lives of animals and haikus off of them.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do that. And I guess that's pretty much it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, if you guys actually like this one, please let us know and we'll actually expand on this. If you do enjoy it, let us know down in the comments of this YouTube video or tweet us at QuestBoardPod. If you have a normal posting that for our normal stuff, you can let us know on either one. Do you want updates if someone plays this character?
Yeah, actually. I want to know how it goes. How annoying is it that we set the precedent that you need to write haikus? Or can you write haikus?
No,
I want to hear
hang on. If you start writing haikus, I want to know just the session number that you stopped. Because people always start with a certain thing and then they drop. Like my current Spelljammer campaign, I'm sure Tifaeus knows, I sort of held back on my voice ever since like the first session.
Oh yeah, you did.
Because it was annoying to do.
Yeah, see, that's why I went with a British accent. Easy to keep doing it.
But I do have somewhat of an accent. It's like voice change.
I can tell when you're in character or not.
But I didn't go extreme. Like, so how long until you stop doing haikus? That's what I want to know.
Gotcha.
I think with that, I wish you all a good night.
Happy questing.